So Donald Trump just got embarrassed on the world stage by Canada and Mexico, and I'm fucking here for it. If you don't know, Donald Trump announced this like 25% tariff plan on Canada and Mexico with a 10% tariff on Canadian oil exports, and he fucking it backfired. He lost. He made himself look like a fool because he's too stupid to understand geopolitics. So, what do I mean by that? What happened? Well, Donald Trump was imposing these insane tariffs that would have triggered the stupidest trade war in U.S. history, right? He imposed these insane tariffs as a negotiation tactic to try and get some help, I guess, from Canada and Mexico with the fentanyl crisis, which isn't even a real fucking crisis. And regardless, what ended up happening. Also, when I say that it's not a real crisis, I mean that fentanyl coming over the southern border is not a real crisis. Fentanyl is coming in from regular ports of entry, and it's almost primarily brought in by American citizens, not by undocumented immigrants at the southern border. Regardless, just want to clarify. And Donald Trump last night pulled his tariff plan. You know, he completely revoked all of his plans to just destroy the entire U.S. economy. And he thinks that he did that because he got Canada and Mexico to bend the knee, which he's been boasting on Twitter. I've actually got the tweet here for you. I just spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. It was a very friendly conversation wherein she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separating Mexico and the United States. These soldiers will be specifically designated to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our country. We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for a 1-month period, during which we will have negotiations headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the war hawk himself, Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, and high-level representatives of Mexico. I look forward to participating in those negotiations with President Sheinbaum as we attempt to achieve a deal between our two countries. Now, what Donald Trump doesn't know is that 10,000 troops were promised to us at the southern border in 2021 on top of the 15,000 troops that were already there from 2019. So notice, let's read this again, how he said, we further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs, right? Because the Mexicans are going to give 10,000 border agents on the border. Donald Trump didn't know that the Mexicans had any troops on the border. Donald Trump thinks that he just convinced the Mexicans to send their first 10,000 troops to the border. Why? Because he doesn't give a fuck to do any research, and nobody around him has the balls to tell him that he looks like a fucking idiot. Now, when it comes to Canada, it's actually hilarious. It's even funnier. As for Canada, Trudeau told Trump in a phone call that he would take steps as appointing a fentanyl czar, which is a fake-ass position, and will give them a $1 billion border reinforcement plan. Now, what's funny about that is, as the New York Times has reported, that had already been announced. The $1 billion border reinforcement plan had already been announced to Joe Biden. This is not new. What you're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, is Donald Trump's stupidity being used against him. Real world leaders are taking this guy for a fucking walk around the kiddie park. That's what's happening. He's so fucking stupid, and he's surrounded by yes men and sycophants that there's nobody left who will tell him, hey, they didn't promise you anything. That was already promised. Guy, what are you doing? This is, oh my God, this is the most hilarious representation. You know, you want to know what this is? Donald Trump is the president that we deserve. He is a mirror being held up to the American populace. If you went back in time and you asked a foreigner what their idea of an American was, it was a fucking cowboy toting a gun on his hip, smoking a pipe, you know, fucking a strong man taking care of his family. But you know what it is now? It's a suit and tie wearing business mogul. It's a fucking piece of shit, blood-sucking billionaire. That's what America has become. And they're too stupid to recognize when actual world leaders and career politicians are walking them. Taking them for a little fucking walk. This is the most pathetic the most pathetic shit that I've ever fucking seen. I know this is an incredibly short video, but we're keeping it short. That's all I got for you tonight, guys. Maybe I'll make another one. I don't know. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment down below, hit that notification bell. I love you all. Have a good one.